I appreciate good quality video and photography, and the Sony FX3 certainly checks off those boxes. But realistically, the FX3 isn't something I can bring everywhere I go, especially when I want to capture those memories in the moment. What I need is a Swiss Army knife I can take anywhere that not only satisfies my need for a good camera, but also provides me high fidelity audio on the go, being an audiophile of course. That's why I chose Sony's Xperia 1 Mark III, a true enthusiast grade phone capable of fulfilling my needs every single trip I make.
So aren't you the model?
I am the model for our short film.
So I'm a big camera geek, okay? And we're talking about the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, if you haven't noticed. This is a phone. And that intro was mostly shot with this phone. And I am a sucker for good cameras. And I have not always been this way, and Tujan knows this. It's the YouTube videos, the caring about the quality, always playing with lighting.
Our production level is just way too high for YouTube.
Oh my god, don't say that. But like I call Tujin, I'm like, oh my god, the camera, the lighting, always complaining and trying to figure stuff out for
color
grading. But anyways, the point is, when I heard about this phone, they were like, Jay, you're an audiophile channel. So we've made this phone for audiophiles as well, for audio enthusiasts. So can you test out all the features of the audio stuff in here? And I said, yeah. But then I started looking at the specs and the things, and like the camera is like, and then I started testing it out. And Sony is, by the way, sponsoring this video. Yep. But they're not sponsoring us for to go over the video functions or other functions. They just want us to go over the audio functions. So this is all voluntary work for me, and I'm just like so excited about the video that I just had to do it. And I took Tujin, and he didn't even know what he was doing. I'm just like, do this, do that. I'm just like,
I turned into a model all of a sudden.
Absolutely love it. Okay, so. As some of you may know, this phone is an audiophile phone, meaning it has like Dolby Atmos, spatial audio, and sounds great with the headphone jack out of this unit, which is, by the way, rare that we have a headphone jack these days. Dying breed. But I want to talk about the video a little bit, because some audiophiles know Sony, Sony Walkman, Sony, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If any audiophiles or even myself expected a company to bring out a audiophile phone,
it would be
phone
Sony.
Meant for audiophiles, it will be Sony. So that's no surprise there, and it is excellent, and we will go over all the features. But video, some of you may be like, video, so let me close that gap here a little bit for you guys. So Sony, right? So Sony actually makes a lot of cameras for creators, and actually we are shooting with one right now, the Sony FX3, the new cinema line camera. And they've made a lot of cameras for a lot of creators, A7S3, A7. By the way, not only for creators, but for like from enthusiasts to pro grade,
cinema.
They've been just absolutely crushing in the camera world. And I've been a Canon guy for a long time, and Canon is a big figure in the camera world. But Sony has been really packing features and footage, quality and stuff. So we switched to Sony very recently, actually.
It's been an incredible switch.
Yeah. But he says that because I always raved about Canon, and now I'm just like, oh, this camera, like this.
I'm like, hey Jay, why don't we go Sony? No, Tuchin, what are you thinking? What are you going on about?
Canon's the best.
Don't say that in front of my camera. Don't say that in front of my baby.
Canon is the best. And then I got the FX3, and it's like, yeah, my new baby. But the point being is, this camera is no different. The sensor in here is incredible. Sony makes incredibly great sensors for low light capability. Their low light capability with low distortion in the image is incredible. In fact, Sony makes sensors for some of very very famous cameras. So remember this photo right here? If you're an audiophile, you should remember this photo. This photo is the...
I'm not an audiophile.
Oh my goodness. Okay, it's a Beatles photo. Oh my god. But okay, the Beatles photo. But
Right
this
before
this photo was taken with the Hasselblad camera. A very famous, very high-end. Now these days they sell for like what, $33,000? Incredibly expensive, very high quality photo cameras. Now the sensors are actually from Sony, supplied by Sony. Yep. Now, so how can I not be excited about this phone? And it doesn't end there. Now, guess the lens. And every photographer and videographer knows that the lens plays a large portion into the great image. And guess what lens was used to take the same picture here, the Beatles photo?
No idea.
A Zeiss lens.
Okay.
You don't know Zeiss lens, but Zeiss lens is a high-end Japanese lens. And if you're a photographer or videographer, then you know how high-end these lenses are. They're great lenses, great glass, absolutely love it. And guess what the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III uses? Yup, the Xperia 1 Mark III uses Zeiss optics, Zeiss T-Star coating on the lenses. And it has 120 FPS and 4K.
The slow-mo stuff.
Yeah. That may not mean anything to you, but that means that you can really savor the moment. Let's say you go on vacation and you want to really savor a special moment. You can shoot it at 120 FPS and you can slow it down. You can slow down some portions as well if you want other portions to go faster. And that's really beneficial for that, but also for cinematic sequences like we just did.
Mm-hmm. Having
that slow motion where your hand is going over, where someone's hair is going over. You know, it's just blowing in the wind. This is like very it's just epic, absolutely epic. And now that considering that you can do that with a phone, because those were reserved features for cameras,
like flagship cameras.
Yeah, like a $5,000 camera we're shooting with right now, that can do 120 FPS at 4K. So can this, which is
kind of
insane.
crazy.
Now, obviously, it's not going to be the same thing or the same replacement for the quality that the FX3 or any higher-end cinema cameras give you, but this is something that you can take with you all the time. I'm not taking my big camera rig all the time. Even though the FX3 is a slim, size camera, I'm not always taking it with me. Now, I'm just only scratching the surface in terms of the video and creator-friendly functions on this phone, because this video has to be talking about more audiophile stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell how excited I am, and I just have to say that this phone is one of the best when it comes to video on the market, or photo, in my opinion.
Jay is such an enthusiast with cameras. Like, he's such a nerd, and it's really this phone is really bringing that side out of him. I've never seen this side of him.
I don't deny it. I audiophile gear is number one. My enthusiasm is number one. But number two is not phones, cameras, right? And this phone just made me into, I think, a phone enthusiast as well. That's how good it is. So, anyways,
okay,
I'll stop being a sellout. Before I stop, the screen on this is really good too. Now, I'm not a phone reviewer, so I haven't really seen too many phone screens. I'll admit, I had an iPhone, like maybe a Samsung phone. I had an LG phone for the longest time, the LG V4,
and now they're R.I.P.
which
LG.
which was an audiophile phone, but they decided to go a different route, which is fine. But I was sad because audiophile phones, where
are we gonna go? Are we just gonna have a DAC?
And then Sony.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, so I was really excited to look at the screen, and I care about the video quality that comes out of it, but also what's on the screen when I'm watching movies, Netflix and stuff like that. And I have a projector, I have a OLED TV. I care about quality, video quality that comes, the screen quality. But obviously, I'm not as an enthusiast as you or as qualified to talk about that. So I'll hand that over to you. But in my opinion, it is one of the best screens that I've personally seen so far.
So, as far as it goes right now, Sony is killing it in the TV market.
Oh, yeah.
Their OLEDs, their Master Series is basically the best picture you can get, period. And they essentially put an OLED on this phone, which is actually not that new. Like, many phones have OLEDs. But what makes this phone different is that they got their Master Series calibration on this screen. So, whether you're watching a movie on Netflix or just watching content in general, you're getting one of the most accurate pictures on a phone, period. Which is just making this phone even, like,
so the only thing I got out of that is that now I need a Sony OLED TV.
No, please.
Because you made me buy an LG OLED TV not too long ago.
I did.
This was before Sony released it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I bought everything too soon. I have bought everything too soon. Do they make a 48-inch one though?
They do.
1 second.
But it'll cost you quite a bit more than your LG OLED.
Okay, I'll
Perfection comes at a price, Jay.
strangulate you later. But no, okay, yeah, but I think the Sony screens are great, and I think that no. But is it comparable to the actual TVs?
Yeah,
you think?
It's being cut from the same like glass.
Oh,
It's not too far away.
oh,
Yeah, like the technology is the same.
oh.
So, OLED.
Okay, so soon we will be heading out to test out the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III. And by we, I mean Tujin and myself. We're going to be heading out, having some fun, listening to headphones and in-ear monitors, testing the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III in the wilderness, in the outdoors, in the portable setting that it belongs. But you know what? We're gonna test this out in a stereo setting as well, because we are in my stereo setup right now, and might as well while Tujin gets ready. So, the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, instead of using anything on my stereo rack, I will be using just two components, the Unified Reference ELAC speakers and the IOTA VX integrated amplifier. And then I'll be using my phone, my Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, as the DAC and source. So basically all you have to do is use a cable like this, and I know this is a cheesy looking cable, but it works all the same. 3.5 millimeter on one end, and the other end dual RCA cable. So 3.5 into the phone, and then dual RCA into the IOTA VX. And this way you are streaming directly from the phone, and all the features like spatial audio, Dolby Atmos, and the upscaling on the phone will work in the stereo setup. So I'm really excited to test that one out. But first, I don't know about you guys, but personally speaking, I do care about the sound quality that comes out of the phone, like straight out of the speakers in the phone. Because even with my iPhone, right, I don't always listen to headphones, especially if I need to hear the doorbell or Tujin yelling at me, or Rebecca, my girlfriend Rebecca yelling at me. You know, I'm a very needed person. And the cool thing about the Sony phone is that these features, audio features that I talked to you guys about, the spatial audio, Dolby Atmos, and stuff like that, all works with the internal speakers. So I didn't find the difference to be too big. It's not a huge difference, but it was a noticeable difference. And compared to my iPhone, I just thought it just sounded way better. So here's a little test. Make sure to wear headphones, because this test is a binaural test. Let's go.
I don't care about the scene, I don't care about the location. All that matters not to me, that you wherever I go, baby. I just need you by my side, yeah. That's until the day I die. Ever since you found me, we the only thing I see. Forever and a day, it's you and me. And they can't replicate this unity. No pressure. I can see them watching and they try to do better. But you one in a million, you ain't average. Girl, I promise I'ma have you living lavish. One in a million, you ain't average. Girl, I promise I'ma have you living lavish. Take a trip, girl, we're about to vanish. I'll go anywhere, anywhere. Just as long as you with me. Always on 10, we ain't never had to come up. Young right now, but we gon' watch the numbers run up. Honestly, I love the way you carry it. It was an easy decision, I had to marry it. Honeymoon, I'ma put you on a chariot. And they don't make them like you no more. No pressure. I see you watching and they try to do better. But you one in a million, you ain't average. Girl, I promise I'ma have you living lavish. Take a trip, girl, we're about to vanish. I'll go anywhere, anywhere, just as long as you're with me. So I'll go anywhere, 'cause I'll go. So I'll go anywhere, 'cause I'll go.
Okay, so using the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III in a stereo setting, Well, I find it quite interesting. I find it interesting in the fact that it actually sounds pretty darn good. Now, is it better or equal to my dedicated streamers or DAC? No, absolutely not. It's not. It's still a phone. But I found it interesting in the fact that the Dolby Atmos and spatial audio function, if Sony, I wish Sony came out with a dedicated DAC or something like that has these functions, because it's actually quite interesting. At least in a stereo setting, there's actual dedicated tracks to spatial 360 audio and Dolby Atmos on Tidal. And those tracks actually sounds pretty phenomenal in a stereo setting. And I mean, the difference is quite drastic there. Now, it's too bad I cannot demo those tracks using a binaural microphone, or I would have. Because of copyright issues on YouTube, I can't do that. But you know what? It sounds pretty darn good. Now, on normal tracks, like the non-spatial 360 audio and Dolby Atmos tracks on Tidal, the normal tracks that I usually play are, some of them are a little bit gimmicky. Now, like spatial audio and Dolby Atmos both kind of take away the mid-bass energy, if you so will, to kind of stretch out the atmosphere. And on some tracks, like, tracks that are recorded with like live recordings and stuff, or stuff that doesn't really have mid-bass, it sounds more spacious and it's actually pretty darn nice. Like there's more soundstage, more depth, and the vocals actually come from way behind the speakers. Like kind of reminds me of listening to Magnapan speakers, like panel speakers that throws the soundstage way behind the speakers. So usually the sound comes from, like the vocals comes from right here, right behind the speakers. But with the spatial audio, the sound is like here, and on some tracks it's like even past this wall. And on the Dolby Atmos, which is even more atmospheric, it's like stretched way back there. So it's kind of like stretching out of the room, and that kind of applies with the side, like the sound comes from here, and then Dolby Atmos is like somewhere here. It's like it stretches way out of the speaker boundaries, so that's pretty cool. I love portable audio, as you can see. Jokes aside, I brought the Manguard T in-ear monitor that I always bring with me, but I also decided to bring other in-ear monitors that I have and portable headphones that one might use with the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, because with the Manguard, it sounds great, like really great, even with the Dolby Atmos and the spatial audio. But how does it sound with these other headphones? That's why I brought them. Let's go! So right now I'm testing out a bunch of headphones and in-ear monitors with the Xperia 1 Mark III. And I gotta say, it sounds really good. I like it best with the spatial audio and Dolby Atmos dedicated tracks with the effects on, just like I did with the stereo setting. But on normal tracks, I like it with some tracks, and on other tracks, it's just too gimmicky for me to like it. But I think it's really good. And I'm not talking about gimmicky good. On the dedicated tracks, it sounds really, really good.
Why do you do this, cancer? Why?
So as I use this phone, more and more I find things that I like about it. Little things, but it does matter. For example, this micro SD card slot usually requires a tool, but when you're out here in the wild,
Indeed.
where are you gonna find tools? Tujan, do you have tools?
I'm not a tool, sorry.
So for the Sony, you don't need a tool because it is literally removable with this smart little tab, which really means that you can have, at least to me, unlimited storage. In fact, if I get this phone, I'm thinking of getting like, multiple micro SD cards and like labeling it jazz, outdoors, in the wind, in the wild, and then just switch it. Every single time I feel like jazz, I just switch it to jazz micro SSD because it's that easy to switch. So he finished listening to the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, and he's a home theater geek. So when I say Dolby Atmos, that means something special to him. So let's see what he has to say about the Dolby Atmos in the Sony phone. So, my man, Tujin, what did you think about the Dolby Atmos?
So when you first brought it up, I thought it was a joke. I'm like, what are you talking about? Dolby Atmos on a phone? How's that even possible? But surprisingly, they have a Dolby Atmos feature on this phone, and Tidal has music mixed for Dolby Atmos. So no matter what headphone I used, I noticed that, you know, those tracks that were mixed on Tidal sounded way better than the regular tracks in terms of just soundstage, the imaging, and just the spatial properties in that music. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised with how good it sounds. But the catch is, on regular music that's not mixed for Dolby Atmos, it doesn't sound that good. But I do think it is a case-by-case basis. So let's say you have a true wireless earbud and you want more soundstage and you just want a bit more sense of space in your music, try it out. You really can't do yourself harm by, trying it out.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. And actually, for me, on some normal tracks, I do prefer it with the Dolby Atmos or spatial audio capabilities on. Now, it's not all tracks, it's very few tracks, but one of them being is Chris Jones's track that I listen to all the time and love. And on that track, when I have the spatial audio on, it sounds really, really good. So that's pretty much it, and we'll see you back in the studio. Okay, so we're back into the studio, and I have to say, I think there's a reoccurring theme here, and that's that the spatial audio and the Dolby Atmos sound best on the dedicated tracks on Tidal. And in fact, when you get the phone, you get 3 months free Tidal with the phone.
Yeah.
So I think there is a little bit of a intention there. Mm-hmm. And whether it be stereo or headphones, we've tried like dozen different headphones.
Quite a few.
And I personally tried like 3 different stereos in that time period, and all of them, like virtually all of them, sounded better with the Dolby Atmos and spatial audio dedicated tracks on Tidal. Now on some normal tracks it was really cool, but not something that I would put on every track, obviously. I'm talking about the spatial audio and the Dolby Atmos functions. Yeah, but overall, I think you mentioned that as well, but the sound quality out of the phone is pretty cool.
As just like a dedicated portable audio device, I mean, you don't need a digital audio player, a DAP, when you have this. In a sense. I mean, because
the power, remember the power.
So the power that we noticed, it can drive up to medium sensitivity headphones. You're not going to drive anything like flagship or like planars and that.
Definitely not Hifi and HE6.
Yeah. But with the IMs we tried, some of the more efficient headphones, no problem. It's very ergonomic, like in your hand. So the volume attenuation, or the what's it called, the buttons.
Yeah.
You get really fine tuning of the volume, which is nice. And then on top of all that, it has a headphone jack, which is very rare.
Yeah.
But it's at the top, which is nice because when you put this phone in your pocket, your headphone cable comes out the right way.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like usually you see at the bottom or on the side, which annoys me because it always ends up, being tangled or kind of bending the cable. Mm-hmm. And on expensive headphones or in your monitors with nice cables, I don't want that to happen to my cables.
But then my favorite feature, my favorite feature on this phone is the dynamic vibration.
Oh no!
It essentially turns this phone into a bass shaker, almost like adding a subwoofer to your headphones.
No, absolutely.
Jay hated it, but to me, it brought a smile to my face. I thought it was really cool.
Okay, let me show you. Okay, this is just to prove the point. Okay, so this is not my music choice. This is copyright music, but
copyright-free music.
But the point is, when I play this music and I have the dynamic, vibration on, I mean, like, I guess you can put it on your chest to feel like bass in your chest.
It's bass you can feel. You always wonder when you're listening to headphones, you're like, I just want to feel the bass.
Okay, but in all seriousness, okay, I get that you liked a little bit of the gimmick behind it. It made you smile. Yeah. I remember when you first found it, you're like, oh my god, this is crazy. I was like, Jay, you need to see this. Check it out. Yeah, and you're like, can I feel in the chest? But okay, I get the point of it, but I honestly hate it.
Yeah, I don't see you
Okay,
using
maybe
it.
hate is a strong word. I dislike it because I find it gimmicky and I do not see myself using it. And I appreciate this phone as it has features that like a lot of the phones these days are getting rid of, quite frankly.
Exactly.
But that feature right there, I think Sony, if Sony went an extra mile wrong in the wrong direction, I think that was it. Very minor thing, but I just don't like it.
But then overall, as a phone, it has flagship specs.
Oh, yeah.
Like this phone is 2 times faster as a processor than my current phone, the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. And I haven't upgraded from this phone because all these new phones don't have a headphone jack. They don't have expandable memory. And then this comes along, and quite frankly, this is a contender as a phone upgrade for me personally because as an audiophile, I like listening to wired headphones, and headphone jacks are just a dying breed.
Yeah, honestly, it has a lot of function. But you know what? I just found and this is kind of sidetracking, but I also found the reason for the dynamic vibration thingy. It just peaked in my head.
Yeah.
Like I have really hard time waking up in the morning, and you know this. Like I feel like I'm coming out of a grave in the morning. Like I feel really terrible. I'm one of those people that feel terrible in the morning. This, if it's compatible with ringtones, and like I put it behind my head or something, it's gonna force me to wake up because it's like vibrating.
I mean, technically, all phones have vibration. In their
Oh
ringtone.
yeah.
So,
But those are not strong enough. Like I think this
okay,
is stronger.
this is pretty hefty. Yes.
Yeah, like those don't even do anything for me. Like,
Okay.
I've been desensitized.
Okay.
Anyways,
That's that. Okay. All right.
anyways, I don't think anyone's gonna care for that reason. But anything else that you found useful?
I mean, a dual SIM card.
Oh
which
yes,
which is really nice. So essentially, if you have a work phone and a personal phone, and you have 2 different numbers, well, put 2 SIM cards in. You have 2 different IMEI numbers, and you consolidate into one phone.
yeah. Personally, I don't have a personal life, so I don't need 2 phones. But if I did, then I would love to have a business phone and a personal, phone, and you can have it in one.
Yeah.
With one phone. So I think that's really cool.
But overall, it's nice to see these features come back to the market.
I really think so. And I think the biggest thing is the sound quality, even though it doesn't power like, very, obviously the flagship headphones and stuff like that.
You'll still
I
need
think,
like a dongle or an
yeah,
external
I think
amp.
in your monitors and like, headphones, like portable headphones, sound really good with it. Without even the 360 and Dolby Atmos, it's very clean sounding. It's very clean sounding and it's not bright. It's pretty neutral, but it's not so neutral that it's kind of like, boring. It has good bass emphasis, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it does have good bass texture and formation there. And for the high frequency, I think it's pretty refined from a phone, considering that it's a phone. I mean, it's still not gonna beat like my dedicated headphone amplifiers, but we're talking about portable here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get better sound if you want to add another portable thing here, like my Honey H1 or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a bigger package. We're talking about simplifying things because let's face it, when I'm outside, I rarely bring an external amplifier with me because that's gonna weigh me down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fall off my one wheel and I'm gonna get into accidents.
And I guess when you are outside
Yeah.
and you're holding this phone, it's very ergonomic.
Yeah.
Like the buttons are placed in the correct place.
Yeah.
Like just the volume, attenuation, and just the power button and everything. It's just really nice to hold, and you're not really gonna
Yeah, it's
Drop
slimmer.
it.
It's slimmer than my iPhone too, or your phone actually.
Yeah.
It's slimmer than that, and it's the aspect ratio, right? I believe it's like 21:9, 20.
Something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. It's a cinematic aspect ratio, which is really nice because like when I watch like movies and stuff, I also found that it gives me like full screen and that cinematic ratio. But aside from that, like what you mentioned, ergonomically, like I can literally do everything with one hand
exactly.
instead of like having to be like if I have to reach the other side of the screen, I always have to go like.
And there was a trend of phones just getting bigger and bigger, and yes, they have better battery life, and this still has a decent battery inside. It's 4,500 milliamp
Yes.
hours, which is normally what you would find in those gigantic phones, like
I mean,
almost like tablets.
in the time we were like testing it, we charged it twice. That's
Yeah.
it. We charged it twice.
pretty much.
Yeah, like full battery, we charged it twice, and that was all it took for us to do all the testing, filming. So that's, I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Hats off to them. They made something impressive.
Yeah,
This might be my next phone. That's about it.
you always say that about everything that comes in here.
No, but seriously, when I'm excited about something and it actually wows me away, like I put my money where my mouth is. You know that about me. Like if I like something, I get it.
You literally buy everything.
And then I
that
complain
comes
that
in
I'm
here.
broke.
Yes. And yeah, anyways, so but in all honesty, I think, you know, I did buy an iPhone recently, as you know, and I do miss the headphone jack, honestly speaking. You see my video with the long dongle.
Yeah.
But anyways, for any of you audiophiles, in my opinion, this is the king for the next audiophile phone. Basically, well, where LG took off.
Pretty much.
So that's pretty much it from us. Until next time.